Well, continuing about truth value as the reference of statements. If you are a logician or a mathematician and you suffer from horror mundi, or you hate the world, and this is not a very rare disease by mathematicians, and then it is okay that you find that the reference of all true sentences is their truth value, because the world does not interest to you. But for me, I like the world, and so it's much more interesting to follow the common view that the statements refer to facts, states of affairs, events, processes, occurrences, and so on. And these are the things that make these statements true or false. Well, there was a very smart logician, Church, who was a Fregian, and he invented an argument to defend the Frege's point of view that the reference of sentences is the truth values. He armed the following group of sentences. They are at least co-referential. They are co-referential, and the principle for his argument is the idea that if the partial references of the sentences are interchangeable, then the reference of the whole sentence does not change. And what does not change, since these sentences show to be very different, is the truth value. All these sentences are true. So we will consider each one of these sentences and see the partial references and how they are seemingly co-referential. First, Sir Walter Scott is the author of Waverley. Sir Walter Scott has a partial reference that is Sir Walter Scott. It is a name, a proper name. And the author of Waverley is a definite description referring, obviously, to Sir Walter Scott, the author of Waverley. So they are co-referential, what justifies the identity. Okay, nothing wrong here. The second sentence is Sir Walter Scott is the man who wrote the 29 novels worth Waverley altogether. Well, here is the same. Sir Walter Scott is a name, proper name, referring to Walter Scott. The partial reference in the sentence is this. And there is another partial reference of the description, definite description, the man who wrote the 29 novels Waverley altogether. And it refers also to Scott as partial reference. And so the partial reference of these two sentences are the same. And then we come to the third sentence. According to Church, it is also co-referential, is an entangled sense, and is the tricky one, in my view. 29 is the number such that Sir Walter was the man who wrote that many Waverley novels altogether. 29 is the number such that Sir Walter was the man who wrote that many Waverley altogether. It seems that it is co-referential with 2 and 1. Maybe it is referring maybe to something like an amalgam of Scott and 29, both in one as partial reference, I suppose. And I go too further now. The fourth sentence is 29 is the number of counties in Utah, and since it is co-referential with 3, 2 and 1, and it's speaking about something that seems totally different, this shows that the only common thing about all these co-referential sentences is the truth value. They all refer to the true, das Wahre. And so it's proved that all true sentences have as reference the truth, the true. Well, why not? Why it's wrong? I will try to show. Here is a paraphrase of what he said first. Sir Walter Scott is the same as the author of Waverley. Nothing wrong here in the first sentence. Both terms flanking the identity are referring to Walter Scott. So Walter Scott is the man who wrote the 29 novels altogether. It's the same. The partial references are Sir Walter Scott. But the problem comes with the third sentence. The third sentence is entangled. 29 is the number such that Sir Walter was the man who wrote that many Waverley novels altogether. Well, it seems like a Hegelian sentence. Well, but no, it is from a logician with an intention to defend Frege. How you can recuperate the sense of the third sentence in a way that you can preserve all the meaning, all that is the meaning, without add anything, without take anything. Well, if you write this sentence here, I think there is nothing too much and not lacking. What you in fact has in the third sentence is a conjunction of two sentences. The first is 29 is the same as the number of Waverley novels. 29 is the number of Waverley novels. It is here said. Second, Sir Walter Scott is the same as the man who wrote the many Waverley novels altogether. This is what is also said in the third sentence, with the advantage that here is unpacked, is disentangled, the third sentence. And when you do this, you will see the following. The partial reference of the first sentence, 29 is the number of Waverley novels, is 29. Both are the definite description and the 29 are referring to the number 29. And second, Sir Walter Scott is the man who wrote the many Waverley novels altogether. Sir Walter Scott is referring, the partial reference is Walter Scott, and the partial reference of the second term flanking the identity seal is the man who wrote the many novels altogether, worldly novels altogether, who is Sir Walter Scott. Also, the partial references of this sentence is Walter Scott, and the partial reference of the first sentence is 29, the number 29. Then you come to the fourth sentence. Here you have 29 is the number of the counties in Utah, and the partial references are both from 29 and from the definite descriptions, the number 29. Well, we see that we slip from a reference, partial reference that are 29, from partial reference that are Walter Scott. And how? Because the sentence number 3 clump together two sentences, one referring to the 29 and the other partially referring to Sir Walter Scott. What we see in this schema here is that in the first and second sentence you have the partial references being Scott. In the third, in the second sentence that has nothing to do with the first one, your partial reference is Scott, and what follows in the fourth is that the partial reference are the number 29, and this inherits only what is the partial reference of the first sentences, and so the thing cannot work. It is equivocal, because the partial references must be closer together, like Scott 29 arroba I don't know what. And this is what makes the argument equivocal and therefore fallacious. Well, the argument does not work with Church, and I guess that it does not work with anyone, Davidson and the others.